Alright, so what you're going to make is a stencil box. A stencil box can be any direction you'd like, and I'm going to kind of show it in steps here because there's a lot of drying stages in this project. Okay, so this one you'll see it has a lid this way. There's another one here, has a lid this direction. Okay, and then a little handle on top. So I'll scoot those out of the way. And I have you do this one with a stencil just to allow you to learn the properties of a box. So you roll out your 1/4 inch slab like we always do to 1 paint stick thick, or just to make sure it's a 1/4 inch. Then you're going to use the stencil. You can use any stencil you'd like. You can make your own stencil. I have this one. This was the very first stencil I had made. And then there's one in there that's a little bit longer and skinnier. If you'd like to make one in a new style, by all means, please do. Okay? So then I just take the stencil and I set it down on my slab using the needle tool, and I trace around it. Keep in mind, keep your needle tool a little bit slanted so that way it doesn't bunch up or chunk up on the edges. It cuts a nice clean cut. So it doesn't need to be straight up, it needs to be slanted a little bit. Okay? So I'll focus on this one here first. And I want you to do what's called a beveled edge, and a beveled edge just makes sure that you get more contact for the clay to hold together. So what you'll do is you take your needle tool and just kind of carve off the edge here. Just a little bit on each side. Before you can stick these together. Keep in mind, this one has been drying for 2 periods. I would recommend letting it dry a full day. So get this carved out and then go help somebody on the wheel for a brief period of time. But you want it to hold up. So when I put it up here, it should stay up a little bit. If it flops right back down, you know it's too wet. You really need to wait for it to dry a little bit so it'll hold up. Otherwise your whole box will start to sag after you get it together. Okay, so I've got that beveled edge, and all I did was get rid of that sharp edge. And it just gives it more surface area for the scoring and slipping to make contact. So now I'm just scoring. Slip. Then when I fold these two together, I'm going to push on the corner. Okay, just pushing on the corners to get them nice and sealed. Then I take my fingers up, rub it clean. Then I got some craftsmanship to do. But that's the first corner. I'm going to go ahead and move on to one that's a little bit drier in this box. This is just scrap left over from my original slab. So this one I'm going to score inside real quick. This one's almost so dry that it may crack on me. This I made last week for the first demo of this. Okay, so again, just pinching the corners together, then just running my fingers up and down until it cleans it a little bit. Just kind of reshaping it here. Okay, so now I need coils inside to support and make sure that my project doesn't crack. So you'll see on this example there's a crack right here. It's because I didn't put a coil inside. The coil gives it more support and makes sure that it doesn't crack. So I'm going to do a coil now. Just take your leftover chunks. Take this one. Move my box out of the way. And just roll a coil. The thicker the coil, the more blending you have to do, but the sturdier a project will be. So I like to make kind of a balance between keeping myself too thick of a coil, but I want good support. So I'm going to take inside that box where there's nothing in the corner, just take the needle tool and score or scratch the corner. I'm going to use my serrated rib, score that. So I've scored and slipped the coil, and I'm going to put the point of this coil all the way down in the corner. Then I'm going to press it in, and as I press, the coils ooze up a little bit. So I'm going to press all the way up in little steps. Then when I get to the top, I'm just going to peel it over the corner like so. Then I've got some blending on the inside to do. You can use the modeling tool if you have shorter fingers. Any tool will work, any blunt tool. Okay, so there's my box, and you're going to do a coil in every single corner. I've done most of the corners. Okay, I like the shape of it. Now I want to make sure the top is a little bit more level. So the way I'm going to do that is use an X-Acto blade and just kind of carve off. Some of you may make this a little bit more level to begin with, and that's fine. But if it's a little crooked like mine is, just level it off. Just so that it's fairly level. I can see this one's a little bit higher than the rest. Alright, so this piece here is dried for a couple of periods. And this is how I'm going to make my lid. Much like you did your slab mug, I'm going to take the box, set it on there. Use the needle tool just to trace around the box. And just use the contour or the angle of the box to give you the angle that you're going to be cutting. The cleaner you cut it, the less blending you have to do later. Just make sure all my corners line up. Oops. Okay. Then I'm just going to set my box exactly the way I set it on there. It's going to stick. So I want to make sure that I set the box exactly the way that I traced it. So I just take my box and just set it exactly like so. Then I'm just going to score the edge here. Score the lip of the box. Get some slip on there. Okay, then I'm going to put it back on the way that I set it on there initially. Just try to line up your edges really carefully. Okay, when I try to pick it up, first I want to line up all my edges with my finger. And so when I pick it up, it'll probably stick to it, which I want in this case. If you put your lid on the very first day and it's really wet, it's going to sag down in there. So that's why you want to give it a day. Roll your slab out, cut it, let it dry for a bit. So now I'm just going to blend with my finger around the lid. You can blend either direction depending on which sticks out further. The one that sticks out the furthest is the one you want to blend. So if the top sticks out further, you want to blend that down, kind of like I'm doing now. Or if your box sticks out further, then blend up. there we have our box. The next step would be to decide what side you want to be the top, and it's totally your choice. This could be the top, this could be the top, this could be the top, right here, okay? But you want to let it dry a little bit before you carve it. You want it to get to leather hard before you carve your lid. And you can do your handle at any given point in time. So you could do your handle right now. Make this my handle. Score and slip it on there. If this was my top, okay? I'll make it a little bit more creative. For my sculptors, please, by all means, sculpt whatever you'd like and put it on top for your handle. Please don't be this lazy. Okay, give me something nice. I like to roll coils a lot of the time for my handles. So I'll roll a quick coil handle. Just give you an example. So the handle is a part of the grading criteria. So the coil's inside the corners, and you'll look for those. I'll show you a quick example here. You can see inside, this corner has a coil inside. The other ones do not. That's why they're separated. So somebody earlier asked, do we have to put them on the bottom? If you see a thick line or a thick separation, then just make sure you put a coil inside, okay? Continuing my handle here. So I may want to put a texture on this. I'm just going to curl something up real quick. And I've seen people do like little cheeseburgers, all kinds of different things for handles. Feel free to get really creative with these. So I could score and slip my handle like this if I wanted. Okay, that could be my handle. Press something out that I can put texture on. And again, you don't have to have this be the top. If you do decide to have this as your top, if you want to cut your lid up here, just make sure that you cut it at a slant. If you cut it straight up and down, gravity will pull it straight down and it's just going to fall inside. But if you do it on the side here, you can switch it up. So I'm going to go to something that's a little bit more leather hard. This is closer to leather hard. I'd still like it to dry a little bit more. But I'm going to go ahead and cut a lid. And I always make a little notch, and I'll show you my notch in just a second. Just so that I know exactly how my lid fits on. And you want to let the lid dry on there. I'm going to pull mine off right now, but you want to let it dry so that they dry together and you don't move it. A lot of students will take the lid off and try to smooth the edges, and then the lid doesn't fit on. So right now they're nice and sharp edges, and I do want to round those off. Not really round them off, but clean them up. But I'm going to wait till it dries quite a bit more. So that's my lid. That's the second scoring criteria. Okay, and then the handle is the last part. So I'd put the handle somewhere up here. A good example of the notch. Somebody did a very simple, clean lines on their lid. Notice they cut it at a slant so it doesn't fall in. If you're just doing it on the sides, it doesn't need to be a slant. It's already going to be horizontal. But they put a little notch right here. Some people do really creative notches or do them on separate sides. But that's so that they don't have to sit and figure out which side it fits in. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? Okay.